Jai Hind to all. Myself Shikha Agarwal, Assistant Professor in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College of IT Department. So students, today we are going to discuss one more topic of PPS for the first year students, that what is the meaning of word introduction of algorithm, flowcharts and pseudocodes, right? So before we have in the previous lecture, we have already covered about what is the way how the computer system works, how the digital computer system works. So in this lecture, I'm going to discuss about algorithms, flowcharts, and then we are moving towards pseudocodes, and then finally then we are able to do the programming, right? So before the programming, we should know what is the step by step process, what we need to follow so that we will get the desired output. So into that basis, first of all, we are going to discuss about a first term called algorithm. When I'm using a word algorithm, it says it is a sequential of computational steps that transforms the input into the output. When we are talking about one problem, suppose if I give you a problem, into that you know how to solve that problem, and into that problem you need to follow the certain procedure to solve that problem. So we can say whenever and we are talking about a step by step process or solution of a given problem, then we can say we are talking about an algorithm, right? So when we talking about an algorithm, we can say we can write algorithm in n number of steps. It depends upon a user to user how they are defining the algorithms. But when I'm talking about an algorithm, there are certain good properties, or we can say there are the certain characteristics on the basis of that we can say that particular algorithm is a good one, right? So for example, when I'm talking about the properties of an algorithms, the first property says when we are talking about an input, first of all, while solving a problem, the users must know what all the inputs they need to use for that particular algorithm. So into that case, there we require an algorithm inputs. So into that case, it requires an algorithm inputs so that we can make the algorithm easily. The second is whenever we are taking the inputs, and on the basis of that, whenever we are processing the data, and we are expecting that we will get the desired output. So that particular algorithm is a good algorithm when we get at least one output into that algorithm. So second parameter is algorithm. The third step is called as a definedness. When I'm talking about a definedness, it means we are talking about the steps. Suppose if I'm writing a one step before second step performs, so into that case our algorithm is messed up. So it is very difficult for the user to understand that algorithm. So what we need to do is we have to follow each and every step, and they all has been uniquely defined so that we can understand the process how that particular algorithm works. The next is finiteness. When I'm talking about a finiteness, whenever we are terminating an algorithm in a finite number of steps, like we are not aware about how much steps we are required to write it down. So whenever we are terminating that particular algorithm in a finite number of steps, then we can say that particular algorithm is a very good algorithm. And the next is most important, is that that particular algorithm which can be easily convertible into a programming language, or for the programmer it will be very effective so that the programmer can easily understand the data, what the user wants it from the given problem. Then we can say it is called effectiveness. Whatever the steps is being mentioned by the user, they can be easily convertible to that program. Then we can say that particular algorithm is effective. Fine. So after that, after writing a particular algorithm, there is a one more way of representing a data, that is called as a graphical representation. When I'm talking about the graphical representation of that particular process, then we can say it is called as flowchart. So in the case of the flowchart, what we need to do, we are writing a process in which we are representing with the help of the different symbols and a brief and a short description about that particular process step, right? So that is called as a flowchart. When we are talking about the flowcharts, we are writing an algorithm in a graphical representation in which we are using the different symbols to represent those processes, and in each and every process we are writing a very short description. In spite of writing a complete English text, we are writing a small descriptions process of that particular steps, then we can say we are talking about flow charts. So when we talk about the flow charts, these are the various symbols which we are using when we are talking about the flow charts. So let's talk about all these symbols. As in this, I have already mentioned the first symbol, which is called as a terminator symbol. When I'm talking about a terminator symbol, this particular symbol is oval in shape and it represents the beginning and the ending of that particular process. So if I see the flowchart symbols, I have already tell you that what is the meaning of that name of that terminal. This is called as a terminator symbol, which is being used in an oval shape, and it is being used to show how the process is being started and how the process is being end. The secondly, we are talking about the next symbol, that is called as a process symbol. Whatever the things is being, activity is being performed in that particular process, then we can say we are talking about the process symbol. So into that process symbol, we are routing the next process, that is called as an input and output process, right, in which we are using a parallelogram. So when we are talking about a parallelogram, this is called as a process symbol, or you can say this is called as an input output symbol, which is being used to include the process, whatever being required into that data. Suppose if I want to enter some 10 variables, so into that case I can use a parallelogram, and simultaneously when I want to print the results, then I can use the output as this particular parallelogram. Then after that, we are talking about the data. Whatever the data is symbol is being used, into that case we are talking about an input and output data, right? So whatever the actions and performance we are doing it represents into a rectangular box, and we can process any comments. Like if we want to do the addition of two numbers, we can easily process into that symbol. Then after that, we are having a decision symbol. Decision symbol is a diamond like shape in which we can give the conditions. Suppose if I want to talk about the programming, like if we are having a two conditions, so what we can say, out of all both the two conditions, only the one condition is to be in output, right? So into that case, we have to take a decision whether we will move towards right side or the left side of that particular problem, right? So into that case, we are using a diamond symbol. So into that diamond symbol, we are having a one symbol, that is a decision box. This particular box is being used as a decision. Then we are having an arrow lines. When we are talking about the arrow lines, it shows the flow of direction of the data, in which we have to talk about the conditions, right? So the data will flow with the help of the arrows. Into that case, we have used the connecting lines. These are also called as a connecting lines. The last, we are having a connector symbol. If we want to connect the more than two conditions in a particular amount of time, then we can use the connector symbol as a circle. Fine. So these are the basic symbols when we talk about the flow charts. So we have talked about one thing, that is an algorithms. The second is flow charts, and the third topic we are going to talk about are pseudocodes. Before we go for the programming, we should understand both the three terms, that how the algorithm is being written. The algorithm should be written in an English text so that it would be easier for the user to understand, and it is being written in a step-by-step process so that the user will be able to read that data easily. The second is your algorithms. After the algorithms, you will be having a second is flowcharts. When I'm talking about the flowcharts, it is a graphical representation of the data in which looks to be a better way, but in that also we are writing each and everything in a step-by-step procedure. And the third way is our pseudocodes. When I'm talking about the pseudocodes, somewhere it is similar to the programming, how that particular programming is being written. So when we are talking about the pseudocodes, these are an informal high-level description of the operating principle, how that particular computer system will work when we will be converting into a particular language, right? And in that case, when I'm talking about the pseudocodes, it is a normal programming language in which we are using the basic syntax, how that particular program will execute so that it would be easy for the human being to do the readable format. Because whenever we are converting into the codes, then or your source codes, then we can say this would be never be easy for the users to read, or for the normal human beings. So pseudocodes is that part which is being in a human readable rather than the machine readable, because machine requires the certain syntaxes, right, of the formats for writing that particular form. So that is why we are talking about the pseudocodes. For example, if I'm talking about the pseudocodes, how that particular binary search works, as we all know, for considering the binary search, the particular data is to be written in a ascending or descending order so that we can easily search that element in the case of using a binary search. As we all know that when I'm talking about the binary search, we require a one array on which the operation is being performed, and we require a one element that is to be searched. So for example, here I consider X as an element which is to be searched. Then after that, whenever we are having a data, that particular data is to be in a ascending or descending order, in which we are having an indexing from 0 to 7 or 7 to 0, in which we are storing the data like 7, 10, 25, 35 and so on. So this particular data is already in a sorted manner. So binary search is applicable onto the sorted error. After that, we have to check the condition whether the low is less than equals to high, because in this case the first element is on the lowest indexing and the last element is on the highest indexing, so that we can easily sort that data. If the low indexing is less than equals to higher indexing, then we can say we can easily apply the binary search. After that, we need to find the middle element, right? This is the process what we are doing it. So into that case, first of all, we have to apply. So in spite of writing the formal way that we have to declare all the variables like array, X, low and high and on so on. So what we are doing it, we are simply telling the procedure how that particular algorithm works. So similarly here I have written that we have to calculate the mid element, and then after that we have to compare that mid element with that X element. If it is equals to, then we can say this particular element is being searched. If it is less than, then what the conditions will work. If it is greater than, then what all the conditions will work, right? So in spite of writing the whole code in a specific format, whether we are writing a data in a C language or C++ and so on, so here we are writing a simple procedure that while doing a binary search program, you should be aware about that all these elements we are required it, and after that this is the basic procedure which is called as a pseudocode while we are running an algorithms, right? Now before we go for the further examples of the algorithms and the flowcharts, we should understand what is the difference between algorithm and flowchart. As I have already told you, algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve a given problem. In spite of that, flowchart is a pictorial or you can say graphical representation of the flow of that particular program. When I'm talking about an algorithms, it is a very easy procedure because we are representing the logics into an English text for which the user is easy to understand, right? So that is why we are using a logics in algorithms. When I'm talking about the flow charts, it is very complex in respect to the algorithm, because we are using of certain logics or the symbols. So into that case, due to those symbols, we need to learn how the symbols is being used, and right. So that is why we have to more focus onto the symbols. So somewhere in respect to the algorithm, flowcharts are more complex. Then after that, algorithm is easy to modify. Why it is easy to modify? Because we have already written into an English text, so we can include the number of steps. But when we are modifying the flowcharts, it somewhere is difficult, because whenever we are modifying the flowcharts, somewhere we need to add the symbols and we need to change the changes to the connecting lines also, right? Then after that, we need to talk about the algorithms and pseudocodes. As you have seen the example for the pseudocodes, you can see that this seems to be like a similar, like we are writing in a step-by-step procedure. In spite of writing a simple numbering into the algorithms, like pseudocode is somewhere closely to the algorithms, right? But there is a little bit difference between the algorithms and the pseudocodes, that algorithm, as we have already told you, that it is a well-defined sequence of steps that provides a solution to the given problem. But somewhere the pseudocodes is one of the methods, or you can say is a process which represents a particular algorithm, right? In which it is being written on the basis of the simple syntaxes, basic syntaxes, on the basis of their normal programming language. When we are talking about an algorithm, it is written in a English language or a natural language, what we are, all our human beings can easily understand. But when I'm talking about the pseudocodes, they are closely related to the high level language programming. Somewhere we are using that format which is being used in the high level programming languages. Then after that, transforming an algorithm to the particular programming code is somewhere difficult, right? Because sometimes we are not able to understand what that English means, right? What the user wants to say into that sentence. But when we are talking about the pseudocodes, converting a pseudocode from pseudocodes to programming languages, it would be easy. So, in this, we are talking about the pseudocodes, algorithms, and the flowcharts. But when I'm talking about the algorithms and flowcharts, it would be very easy to understand. But according to the first year students, somewhere algorithms and flowcharts is very important. So, let's begin a certain examples of the algorithms and the flowcharts. First of all, I'm talking about a simple program. That first is, I'm talking about a addition of two numbers. If I want to do the addition of two numbers, as we all know that I want to include the sum of two variables into the third variable, right? So for doing this process, I have to start my journey. So this is the way how the algorithm is being written. First of all, we need to start the data, right? And after that, we require the two numbers as A and B, so that we can input these values and we will do the addition of these two numbers into the third variable. So I have to say an algorithm that I require A and I require B, and into after that we will include the sum into A plus B into the third variable, that is sum. And finally, if we want to require what is the output, into that case we can simply display the sum, and finally we will stop the process. If I'm talking about the algorithm for finding the two numbers, now this is the way how we have to talk about the flowcharts. Flowchart says we have to give the simple graphical representation. Whatever we have done in the algorithm, we have to include into the flowchart representation. As we have already studied that we have to use the oval shape for the starting and the stop process. So what I am doing it, I have started with the oval shape and stopped with the oval shape. Then after that we have to input the certain things. For inputting the things, we have to use the parallelograms. So into that case, we have to input the value of A and B. In spite of writing into the two step, we can also write in a one step input value A comma B. This, in spite of writing into two steps, we can write into the one step also. Fine. But this particular two step shows you the better way. Fine. Then after that, we have already studied that by using the rectangular box, we can process the data. So what we need to process, that we have to calculate the addition of two numbers. So due to which if included the addition of the two numbers in the process box, and it will be included into the sum. And as we have studied that with the help of the parallelogram, we will display the output also. So we will print the sum. This is the way how the algorithm and the flowchart works for the addition of two numbers. Similarly, we can do many programs with the help of the flowcharts and algorithms. We'll talk about the more examples, right? So let's talk about an algorithm to convert the temperature from the Celsius to Fahrenheit, right? First of all, when I'm talking about the conversion of the temperatures, we should know the formula, right? So when we talk about the formula, we should know the formula that F is equals to 9.0 divided by 5.0 into C plus 32. This is the way how the temperature from the Celsius to the Fahrenheit is being calculated. So what we need to do, we require the two things. We require the two variables. One is Fahrenheit temperature ke liye we are using F, and for the Celsius temperature we are using C. So we have to start the process. We have to input the temperature in this Celsius. For example, if I'm using C, so I say the C variable. Then after that we will include the formula, because if we are not aware about that formula, we are not able to convert or we are not able to write the algorithm, right? Then after that we will display the temperature in Fahrenheit, or we can say we are simply displaying or printing an output, and then we can stop. Then after that, when I'm talking about its flowchart, similarly we can convert it by the help of the input and the output box. You can start the process, you can stop the process, or you can input the variable of C, that is a Celsius program, and then after that you can calculate the temperature in Fahrenheit. And whatever the temperature is being given, we know that we have to use the parallelogram and we can easily print the temperature. Fine. So these are the two examples. Now after that, let's talk about the one more example. When I'm talking about calculating the length of the area and the perimeter of the square, rectangle, and so on, right? So as we know that we have to use the formulas when I'm talking about the calculating the area and the perimeter of the square. Now you can see the difference. First of all, we should know what is the formula to calculate the area and the perimeter of the square. We know that area is equals to length into length, or you can say side square. Generally we are using it. And when I'm talking about the parameters, we have to calculate 4 into L, right? So into that case, how we need to do the things? Here we are doing the two processes. So what we need to do, we have to input the length of the square, that is L, and on the basis of that we have to do the two things to calculate the process, that is area and perimeter. So after displaying, after calculating both the things, you can easily display the area and the perimeter. Let's check about the flowchart. When I am talking about its flowchart, you can see the two things that we are using the two processes. So what you need to do, input that particular line, and you can include n number of processes of the steps into the between. Fine. This is the way how you can generate the flowchart also. So now this is an example. I'm talking about the rectangle also. Then we know the area and the perimeter formulas for the rectangle. So similarly, like a square, you can draw or write an algorithm and the flowchart for the rectangle also. Similarly, you can write an algorithm and the perimeter for the area, circle also, or any properties. Oh, sorry, you can calculate any properties of the particular shapes. Fine. Now after that, when we talk about the principal interest, simple interest and compound interest. So into that case also we should know the formula of how to calculate the simple interest and compound interest. You can make a one algorithm also to calculate the simple interest and the compound interest, but moreover then you should know the formula how to calculate the simple interest. Now similarly you can generate these flowcharts. So these are the flowcharts or the algorithms of the basic programs in which you can calculate the area, perimeter, compound interest, simple interest, and so on. The next we are going to talk about the one program which is called as a swapping of our two numbers with the help of the one third variable. Now you can see when we are talking about the swapping, for example, if I say num1 value is 10 and the num2 value is 20. So now what we need to do, we have to do the swapping. After that, into that case, num1 will becomes 20 and num2 will becomes 10. This is what we want to display. So into that case, what I am doing it, I am taking a one temporary variable. Into that case, I will store the value of the num1 into that temporary variable, and then num1 value will be overwritten with the num2 value, and in the num2 we will store the num1 value. Now this is the way how we can do the swapping. So when we are talking about the swapping process, because it will execute in the 3 steps. So here I can show you that I have written all the 3 steps in a single process box, or you can write it in the 3 steps also. This is the way how you can do the swapping of the two variables. Then if we want to find the smallest of the two numbers, now you can see the one condition. Here either number 1 is smaller or number 2 is smaller, right? So due to which if condition will be true or the else condition will be true. means either the smallest number is number 1 or the number 2, right? So into that case, what we are talking about? We are talking about the conditional statements. Which number is greater, right? So into this case, this is the way we have to input the two numbers, number 1 and number 2, and we will do the comparison with that number, right? While doing the comparison, only the one condition is true. या तो ये condition true होगा या ये condition true होगा. So out of those conditions, we have to use the one conditional statement which is called if else. Let's see the flow chart also. When I'm talking about the flow chart, you can see, first of all, I've started the process. I've input the value of number 1 and number 2. Now we have to use the decision box in which we have to give the condition whether the number 1 is less than number 2 or vice versa. Depending upon that, you will get the conditions yes or no. So into that case, if I put number 1 as 10, number 2 as 20, number 1 is less than number 2, true. If the condition is true, it will print only the number 1, right? But if the condition is false, if I give 20 and 10, then this condition is false. If this condition is false, then only it will print number 2. So this is the way how the if and else conditions flowcharts work, right? Similarly, you can calculate the conditions, how to find the largest of the 3 numbers. Fine. So similarly, you can have a flow chart. Like if I'm talking about number 1, 2 and 3, I've input the data, then I have to check the condition ki whether that number 1 is greater than number 2. If it is no, then we have to check number 2 is greater than number 3. If it is yes, then it will print the number 2 largest number. So this is the way how you can increase the flow chart. Fine. This is the way how you can increase the data. Now next is when we want to talk about the multiplication tables, right? The last we are talking about the multiplication, how to calculate the tables of a particular number. If I am talking about the calculation of the number, suppose if I input 3, okay, so we have to start the iteration with 1 because we are calculating 3 into 1 is equals to 3, a sort of, and we are writing 3 into 10 is equals to 30. This is the procedure how we are finding the numbers. So into that case, I have declared I is equals to 1 and we have mentioned the condition if I is greater than 10 till it will work, then we have to move to the step number 9, right? If it is not, then what we need to do, we have to calculate the product number into I. So how this table will works? Number into I. So product will get 3 into 1, first time iteration will work. So we will get the product as 3. So we can display 3. Then after that iteration will becomes plus 1 because we have included I is equals to I plus 1. So it becomes I is equals to 2. Now it becomes 3 into 2. Then it becomes 3 2s are 6. Now similarly, this is the way how we are getting the result. Now if I want to print this particular table, we have to write a syntax I into number, then is equals to product. So what we are getting it, I into number is equals to product, right? First time I was 1 into what was the number we have input 3. Then we are getting the product as 3. Now after that I plus plus, right? 1 time plus becomes 2. Then what we will write 2 into 3, that becomes 6. This is the way how the table is being displayed. Fine. While writing the flow chart, same process we have followed for the flow chart and we will easily display the conditions. But remember one thing, but when I am talking about if I is greater than 10, suppose user by mistake input that I is greater than 10, into that case this complete procedure will not work. Automatically it comes to the end and it will stop the process. Fine. Now in the similar way you can do the many examples, like I have to find the even numbers between 1 to 50. We know the one condition for calculating the whether the number is even or odd, that I percentile 2 is equals to 0. If it is true, then it will even number. If it is not, then we have to move further. This is the way how you can talk about the even and odd numbers also. Fine. Then after that, we can print the serial numbers from 1 to n. Whatever the n you will input, we will print the series 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on. So similarly, you can easily display the output also. This is the program for calculating or algorithm for finding the series from 1 to n. So you can do a more examples with the help of the other properties also, for the other conditional branches also, for the looping also. So we will discuss about algorithms, flowcharts, pseudocodes in this lecture. These are the various references from you can study your other flowcharts and algorithms also.